Have you heard the buzz? MIgardener's farm has honeybees. That's right. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, we are going to be checking out the brand new honeybees. That's right. We got 10 honeybees. We bought them from a local apiary. They came just last week and dropped them off, and it's been way too cold and rainy to really do much. But believe it or not, they are ready to have another box added on to them. So we're gonna go in and do that. I'm gonna show you the bees. We're not gonna do a ton of messing around with them today just because this is kind of the first real day they've gotten out to go forage, explore, and they are overwintered bees, so they do need some more space. It's really exciting to see. And so I hope you guys are gonna enjoy. Let's go get into these boxes here, talk about them, and kind of explain what they're gonna be doing for us here on the farm. So before we get into adding the boxes onto the bees, I kind of want to just give you a little quick tour because it feels like an eternity, and in some regards it has been. I kept bees here on the channel 12, 13 years ago. I mean, it feels like it's been an absolute century, but it's been a little over a decade since I've kept bees. But it's been a lot. It was a ton of fun when I kept bees, and I learned a lot when I did keep bees. The first thing I learned is that you really want to try to work bees from behind the hive so you're not disrupting their flight path. And so you'll notice that we have the apiary here kind of in a V shape. And that's because I wanted them to have maximum exposure to the eastern, the eastern sunrise, because as the sun rises, it warms the hive in the morning, gets them waking up, ready to go forage. So they're not really exposed to any shade in the early morning. That's why they're at this part of the property and they're facing east. But then also I don't have them in multiple rows. That way when I'm working the bees, if I had another row here, I'd be standing here, but I'd be blocking the flight path for the bees behind me. So I like to have them, I want to have them in as a single of a row as possible. And because this was kind of a corner of the property, it kind of made a natural little V shape here. Now I have them on cinder blocks, and then on top of the cinder blocks, I have them on pressure treated 2x12s. I just had some extras laying around. And what that does, it gets them off the ground so that there's good airflow underneath. Honeybees were never intended to sit right on the ground. There's ants that'll come in, hive beetles, varroa mites, a lot of nasty stuff comes in to try to, take advantage of the honeybees and what they're doing. So by elevating them slightly, gives them a little bit more of that natural habitat like they would find in like a hollowed out tree. Just a couple inches off the ground. These are 10 inches off the ground, which is great. So that's what they're sitting on. And then we have them spaced out. A lot of people don't really care about spacing their bees out. I like to, just because, again, naturally, would there ever be this many bees in this close of proximity? No, I'll be quite honest. You would not find in a natural habitat, there would not be 10 hives back to back to back to back. So I've spaced them out enough to the point where I feel like at least they have their own little kind of bubble, if you will. And that kind of just keeps them, I think, a little bit less stressed. But with that, I got my smoker fired up here. I just threw some pine needles in here. It's my smoker material of choice. I absolutely love that nice white smoke there. And yeah, we can go ahead. I'm gonna smoke the front, get them kind of chilling out a little bit. We already put the supers, the 10 frame deeps. We already put the 10 frame deeps on the other hives. All right, this is where the fun begins. So we're going to crack the lid here. Now these bees are Italian bees. I really love Italian bees. I love Italian food too, but Italian bees are so docile. They're just the most docile bees, in my opinion. You'll hear a lot of people have preferences, but I mean, my gosh, they're just chill sauce. They are so happy. Okay, so I'm gonna just give these a little bop here. There we go. Get those off. And I did not bring, because I'm not doing a ton of tampering with the hive, I'm gonna come back once they've had a chance to chill out and get used to the property. I'm gonna come in with my hive tool here and scrape all this propolis away. The next time I do my first hive inspection, because I haven't done that yet, we'll bring you along for hive inspection, but I gotta take all this propolis off because it's kind of just, it is kind of the bridge that they use to bridge more frames together, and it can tend to kind of mess up stuff. So I gotta clean up this propolis, but I don't have my hive tool with me right now because I'm just putting on boxes. So the boxes that we're putting on are 10 frame deeps, we're doing 10 frame deeps because I want to give them a good amount of room to fill out before they start making honey. And because what you'll see here, so check this out. So this little space is what they call bee space. And there is hardly any room. I mean, you could see bees. This is how you know you need another box, is when you see bees on the tops of every single frame, including the outside, you are tight on space. That's what anyone will tell you. Anyone will tell you. If you see bees chock full here and then like no bees here, there might be about a week or two of room left, but you got bees on every single frame and every single site without even pulling the frames out. So I'm going to take these boxes here and put them on. Now, here's another thing you'll notice. So this is a 10 frame box and there's only 9 frames. Why is that? Well, that's because what is commonly done, and this is very optional, but is very nice. Take out this 10th frame, don't even use it. And then space these out a little bit more, just like that. So you take a 10 frame box and you make it 9 frames. And what essentially you've done is you've given them substantially more room to kind of fill out, and it gives them a little bit more bee space on the sides without being too cramped. And you'll notice that's what the other apiary did as well. It's very common. It's a very common practice. You'll see that little kind of 1/4 inch space in between, and that just eats up that extra frame that we would have used right there. So that's just it's a very personal preference thing, but you'll find that when you're keeping bees, and I found this out when I was a beginning beekeeper as well, you squish so many bees trying to pull those tight frames out when the frames are drawn so far out with comb and honey. You're pulling them out and you're just like shaving bees and smashing them in between the other comb. So it's just not my preference. So I like to just put 9 frames in, and they seem a lot happier in my personal preference, or my personal opinion. So there is that one. All right, we're just gonna do them all. It's that simple. That's all we're doing today. Another cool fun fact for y'all about bees is that all these honeybees are female. They will produce males. The queen will lay males, known as drones. And I know that about 70% of you that are watching are female, so you'll find this to be rather humorous. But believe it or not, the males don't actually do anything. They just eat all the food and they wait around to have sex. And then they do that and then they die. So yeah, so you can go tell your husbands that. And what's cool is every worker bee at one point had the capability to be a queen bee. The only difference is that when the queen bee is laying eggs in these frames, in a couple weeks we'll do a nice hive check, you'll see the eggs and stuff like that. Super cool. But the only difference is that that egg was at one point fed what's called royal jelly. It's a combination of saliva, bee saliva, and pollen, and these enzymes that essentially supercharge and feed this egg what it needs to become a queen. It's incredible. Like, it's absolutely incredible. So they only have 1 queen per hive. If they ever get more than 1 queen per hive, they will do what's called a split. And that queen will essentially leave with about half the colony, leaving behind a queen and half the colony. And they do that basically in an effort to reduce numbers to survive. And that's why we're putting on another box. We want to keep them from swarming because it is almost swarming season. Once you get into May and June, it gets a little bit more prone to swarming. And I also forgot to take out my 10th frame here. Did I? Yes, I did. There we go. Okay. Now a lot of you are going to ask, Luke, where'd you get your beekeeping supplies? So I got mine from a company called Man Lake. Man Lake is by far the largest. I mean, if they're not the largest, they're one of the largest beekeeping supply companies, I think, in the entire world. They're massive. They're absolutely huge. Their supplies are fairly affordable and pretty darn high quality. And, you know, you can buy kits. I would typically avoid buying kits on Amazon or buying kits that are, sold from like third-party websites. They're just very expensive. I've done this enough and I've talked to enough people that people in the industry typically will just say, look, unless you're buying them used off of Facebook Marketplace, which is fine. We're going to be doing that as well. We're going to be meeting up with a guy. He's getting out of the business. He's going to be selling us his honey supers. Those are these like kind of shallow, they're about half the size roughly of a deep, and they're exclusively for generating honey production. These are for brood and honey. So these are for the bees, and then the tops are for us. And you can get those off Facebook Marketplace. People getting out of the business, people that are downsizing or whatever, they'll sell them for pretty cheap. That is the only other exception. Otherwise, just go directly to the source, to the manufacturer, and it's in the long run, it will just be a lot cheaper. That's why I've stopped going and shopping around, because as a hobbyist, I used to just spend hours and hours and hours shopping. And then I was like, oh, I'm saving $10 off my box, but I have to build it myself. These boxes literally were shipped to us on FedEx ground, completely assembled with the frames, completely assembled. Time is money. I don't have that type of time. But if you do, be my guest. I don't mind. Forgot that. Okay. This board here, there's a top board. It just allows the bees to have a little more breathing room, and it's got a little vent on the top that helps hot air escape, which is cool. Okay, moving on, we're gonna finish up here, and then we're gonna let you guys go take care of your own bees. So I'd encourage you all to check out beekeeping groups in your area. Spend some time doing your research. You don't wanna beekeeping can be a very expensive hobby. A lot of people say it's just too expensive. Now, the only reason why they say it's too expensive is because, they make mistakes, and those mistakes get costly. We'll have a video coming up. If you guys want to see it, this video would need to perform well for me to want to do it, though. I don't want to produce videos that you don't want to see. If you're interested, this video would have to get 4,000 thumbs up. I will do a video on how to, 10 ways on how to keep honeybees on the cheap. Essentially, I've learned a lot of different ways to cut your costs on keeping bees. And if you want to see that, like I said, let me know. So I'm gonna get that next box, pop her on, and we'll finish up. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I really do hope that you learned something new. Let me know in the comments box down below if you are excited to keep bees. And sorry, there's one other thing. One other thing that was just I forgot about. I know you're probably going to ask why 10 hives? Why 10 hives? Why the number? It's because I wanted to make sure we had enough bees for the amount of trees we had, the amount of land we had. And typically the general consensus is one hive for every 4 acres. So since we have 40 acres of production, that gave me with 10 hives. It's not a hard and fast rule by any means. That's just kind of what people will tell you. So that's why I have 10 hives. And they're going to be doing all the production for pollinating our apple trees, pear trees, peach trees, cherry trees, blueberries, you name it. It's going to be so cool to see. And not to mention our cover crops and our garden, our squash, everything. So really, really happy to have these. So as always, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. Grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting MIgardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care. Bye.